Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's Season 5, Episode 2, and just like yesterday, it's going to be a slightly shorter episode, just to make sure we can get our vocal cords through it. But luckily today, after a disappointing first day of the season, with plenty of negativity, we've got a few positives to talk about today, a couple of good league results, 4 new signings for the first team squad, and only 1 negative in terms of an injury. We're also going to show you a game from the Checkatrade Trophy against Fulham U23s, as I want to show off a few of the youngsters we've got coming through who are going to be in the squad for today's game. It's always good to see homegrown players getting a chance, and it's one of the first opportunities we've really had to do it in either of our series this year. So as you can see from the league table, we're just outside that relegation pack. We're only 4 points clear. It's very early days. I wouldn't read too much into it. And we have had a couple of disappointments in the last week on the injury and suspension front. But we've been doing okay, and we've managed to pick up a couple of wins recently, which we'll show you in a moment. Ben Kennedy's forced his way back into the team with some wonderful goals, as has Luke Berry, who has really been reinvigorated this season, and he's just as well, because as you can see from our team news at the top, Jordan Flores has picked up shin splints and he's out for a couple of months, despite having specialist treatment. He was our only other player who could cover at left back with Georgiou, so luckily we've got a first teamer in, but if we get an injury to him, we're back in big trouble again. So a disappointment that, but not too bad overall. Wilkinson suspended for this one, and Luther Wilding's away on international duty. So 3 players unavailable, but luckily, as I said, we've got the 4 in, so we've got a little bit more versatility than previously. We still haven't got a big squad, so a couple of the youngsters will be in. But let's firstly take you to see those 4 transfers. Nothing going out since the last episode, but certainly some of the additions we were hoping for. So on the last episode, we showed you the 6 players our director of football was trying to bring in. One of the 2 strikers agreed to join, which was great. Gives us 2 options up front for the season. We also got in the 2 defenders that were on there, a centre-half and a right-back. Unfortunately, we lost out on both central midfielders, which I wasn't too worried about. And he did manage to eventually bring in a left-back too. Both of those signings at the bottom there were on deadline day. So let's start at the top. Keston Davis is top of the 4. A 3.5-star centre-half with 4-star potential. He's been playing in the EFL for Notts County and Oldham in particular. Got loads of experience and he's doing really well for us so far. He's a bit of a step up from what we've had, and hopefully he can be our new captain once Luke Wilkinson goes over the hill. He's definitely going to be a first choice player for us, and his professional personality helps out as well. We're trying to get him to stop diving into tackles, but I know that's going to be difficult, as it's always one that's hard to get rid of when it's in the player traits. Next along is a right back, Ryan Sears. He's useful because Wilding goes on international duty quite a lot, and he is a good player of almost equal ability too. He's a 3-star ability player with 4-star potential, another Welsh player like Davis, a right back that's been playing for Shrewsbury and Borehamwood. He also played at Newtown before as well, so he's got a little bit of experience, but you can see he's a really decent player and will come into the first team as the season goes on. He's got the opposite attribute. He doesn't dive into tackles at all, despite marking players tightly. So that's a little bit of a concern. Those 2 don't tend to go together too well. But again, a good player, has done well in the cup competition so far, and will get another outing tonight, so you'll get to see him for the first time, and I think Keston Davis might be playing today too. Lee Thomas is the striker we've brought in. He's overtaken Walland, mainly because he's an advanced forward. He's electric quick, he's agile, he's a decent finisher, and isn't too bad for composure. He's got good technique, he's good off the ball, and he's just a very good striker. He's had a couple of little injury problems since he came in, but I'm hoping after the next league game, he'll be back to form, and at just 17 years of age, he's got so much potential for a player who's already got 4-star ability. I'm hoping he'll score a hatful of goals for us. If not, we'll definitely be jumping ship if he gets injured long term. Let's look at the last one, the left back we desperately needed. An experienced man, Danny Andrew at 31. He's 3-star ability, nothing special. A bit similar to Sears on the other side, but without room for development. He's got bags and bags of experience at Walsall, Doncaster, Grimsby, Fleetwood, Macclesfield, Gloucester, Mansfield, Cheltenham. Oh, his list of clubs goes on and on. He's done really well for us in 4 games. Got man of the match once as well. And I am absolutely sure he's going to be a really solid player this year. year. He works hard, he's naturally fit, and he's a decent defender and crosser of the ball. I couldn't ask for much more, as he likes to get forward, and hopefully he'll be a good signing for us this year. I'm not quite sure about our director of football giving him a 3-year deal, but we won't be here long enough to worry about that. A good signing, and will hopefully give us a chance of staying up with a decent defence. So they're the 4 signings. Let's have a quick look at the recent games. The season started so poorly. We were bottom of the league after 3 matches. You saw that heavy defeat at home to Rotherham. We did the same against Bradford. We got back to 1-1, threw away the point. We then played at home to Northampton. In this one we had to come back. We went 1-0 up and then went 3-1 behind. Luke Berry scored a screamer, but it wasn't quite enough. And again we threw away points from a winning or drawing position. However, we did get our first win of the season in the Carabao Cup. We beat Swindon 4-1. Georgiou was brilliant from left back again. 2 goals for him. And Thomas and Wallen, the 2 strikers, both got a goal. Thomas's was off the bench before an injury. We then played Burton and got our first league win of the season. I actually played this match in Peterborough train station. I was on my way back from the Sunderland game as a Luton fan from the weekend, and we got stuck there for about 2 hours. So I was sitting in the train station playing this game, and I tried not to celebrate too much, as I'm sure I would have got a few stares for that. But we won it 2-0. Berry scored an absolute screamer again, and Wallen got his first league goal of the season as well. Before a 0-0 draw at Doncaster, I have no idea how we didn't win this game. Let's go and have a quick look at the match stats. 16 shots to 6. They had a bit more possession, but we just wasted chances. Danny Andrew got man of the match. He created so many from crosses, but unfortunately we didn't take any of them, as Wallen had a pretty poor game that time out. However, we did beat Exeter 2-1 at home. Ferry and Georgiou scored the goals in this one after we went 1-0 behind. So a bit of a role reversal from the early games in the season, and we certainly won't complain about that. We did lose in the last midweek at home in another cup competition. Rotherham beat us 1-0. They beat us on the opening day of the season 4-1, so it's slight progress if nothing else. We did though beat Plymouth 3-1 away from home on Saturday. A brilliant result and performance. 2 goals from Ben Kennedy, who's been reinvigorated in the last few games. Another word I've used at least 3 times already today. My vocabulary seems to have disappeared with my voice, unfortunately. Wallen got another goal to wrap up the game with a few minutes to spare. And we go into this Fulham game sitting comfortably in lower mid-table after 3 wins out of the last 4 games. So a terrible start, but things are starting to click since all the signings have come in. Our dynamics has been a bit of an issue. Ben Kennedy started a dressing room revolt, the team leader. He wasn't happy after those first 3 or 4 games, but fortunately, just after he complained, we played that League Cup match against Swindon, and we got back to winning ways, and 3 or 4 games later it all went a bit quiet. And although I normally blame the player who starts the revolt, he was one of the key players on the pitch in fixing it, so fair play to him for that. Let's get straight into this game, because I can tell my voice isn't going to hold up much longer. We'll get into it at home to Fulham, and let's see some of these youngsters in action for the first time. So in terms of the lineup, I want to make one more change actually. For the cup games, we've been changing our goalkeeper. David Gregory, we had a real moan about in the last episode. A terrible signing, but he's actually played really well in the Carabao Cup games, particularly that first round one, and he's going to get another chance in this competition. So as with other games, left back's still the main issue for this one. I have no idea how Tamelty will do there, but Andrew's first choice, we need to save him for the weekend, and Georgiou's been our first choice left winger recently, so he can't play there, he's tired, and Flores is injured, so we don't really have any options left. We've got Gregory in goal, Sears and Tamelty are the fullbacks. Keston Davis plays alongside youth prospect Lee Sanders. In midfield, we've got Joel Ward and Mark McKee, with Archibald, Kieran Hayes and Pip Bannister, who you may remember from last year's youth intake, in behind Stuart Walland up front. Another one of the youngsters, Warren Tomlinson's on the bench. He's 1.5 star ability with 3.5 star potential and could become a real star. He likes to get forward into the opposition area, and I like players who attack the box from deep. We've also got Pip Bannister, as we mentioned. He's starting to develop off the pitch, a really good player in training, a mercenary personality which seems to help that. He's not the best finisher in the world, but hopefully on the left-hand side he'll be able to do a good job. There's only one way to find out if he'll reach his potential, and that's by giving him chances in the first team. So that's the lineup for today. A few of the first team are on the bench, but they're a little bit tired. The likes of Thomas and Berry, though, can make an impact if needed. So let's get into this game, and fingers crossed we can get a result and hold up with our voice for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Here we go then, a very defensive variation. They've basically pushed their 3 midfielders back a bit from our one. They've got 2 holding midfielders and 3 across the middle, whereas we've got 2 central midfielders and 3 in attacking midfield. They've just dropped them back a bit, and that bodes well for today's game. We're 5 years in, so most of them will be regens in the Fulham youngsters team. We're not going to be expecting to see any familiar names. We'll tell them to pick up where they left off. I just want to check that we don't need to change any roles. Bannister looks quite comfortable as a winger, which is a surprise. Hayes is alright as a shadow striker, but he prefers to be an advanced playmaker on attack, so we'll certainly make that happen. Tamelty can't play left back at all, but we're just going to leave him on the role that was there. Georgiou seemed to perform well, so hopefully he'll pull off a miracle too. Let's start the game and hope we can get our result. It's Fulham with the kick-off. Carvalho takes it to De Havilland. Back to Mohamed, the centre-half. Into the goalkeeper. They're keeping the ball well, but unfortunately they've gone long and we've won it back well. I say unfortunately for them, we're perfectly happy. Ward's got the ball down to Archibald on the right. He's going down to the byline. It's deflected away. Ward will get there again to Hayes. Into McKee. Shoots from 25 yards, but it's just wide and it's still 0-0 despite our early chances. Archibald with the free kick round the wall, just wide of the post. It's still 0-0, and there's the first break for the voice today. Archibald with another one that goes wide, and with 10 minutes gone, we've dominated the chances, but not managed to hit the target yet. Bit of a dull first half. Apparently we've had 8 shots now to none. Sanders has put it in. He's offside. Oh, I think it was going in already. The youngsters nicked a goal off the centre forward and he was offside when we were going to go 1-0 up. Not a good moment for him, but we are absolutely dominating this game despite the lack of real clear-cut chances. That's our 10th shot, although that one shouldn't really count. It was a speculative effort from distance. Nearly at the break, Paul Jules kindly reminded us that Tamelty's playing out a position at left back, as if I didn't know that already. But at half time it's 0-0 and we're going to go and have a word with these lads. Paul Jewell wants us to tell him it was disappointing. Well, Paul Jewell, I'll copy exactly what you say. I'm still not taking Tamelty off though. Hayes with the ball from the kick-off to Ward. Back to Sanders. The youngsters have looked fairly solid in this game, although Bannister struggled a bit on the left-hand side. It's not his natural position, but we'll try and give him 90 minutes if possible. 5 minutes into the second half, and there's been no real highlights yet again. Nearly an hour gone, it's Archibald with another free kick, just wide of the post this time. He tried to curl it into the far side, a different angle, and he's got a corner this time to Davis. He's headed it over, 15 shots to none, but we've barely hit the target again. It's just like that Doncaster game we were showing you. We've got no real cutting edge, and it looks like Berry and Thomas are going to need to be the difference in this game. We've got Ben Kennedy on the bench too, so there's plenty of changes we can make, and with 20 minutes to go, we're going to do just that. Wallen's not had the best game. Lee Thomas will come on for him and move into his preferred advanced forward role. Pip Bannister's replaced by Kennedy. Archibald will swap sides. Kieran Hayes hasn't had the best game either, so Luke Berry will come on and go back into that shadow striker role that he's done so well and scored screamers from this season. Fingers crossed they can make the difference, and with 15 minutes to go, we're just going to hope now. Is the left back Tamelty, or the makeshift left back I should say. Davis has got the ball back out to him again. Tamelty inside to Ward, back to Archibald. He's cutting inside from that left flank to McKee. McKee's got space to run into, goes to Sears, the right back. We haven't seen much of him today. Ward gets it into McKee again. He plays a 1-2. Ward and McKee keeping possession between them. The shot's terrible and it's blocked. And now Fulham can counter-attack us. I nearly said Millwall for a minute there. I'm absolutely all over the place today. 10 minutes to go and we're going to go to a controlling positive mentality as Kennedy puts a free kick wide and we're just going to try and attack them. We told the lads to push forward. It might be too little too late, and we might even concede a goal now. Fulham have had a couple of shots. They're in one-on-one. Gregory makes a good save and it's behind for a corner. But after this dominance, it would be a travesty if we lost the game. And with 2 minutes of stoppage time to go, we need to get this corner clear. It's into the back post. Gregory punches. Kennedy flicks it on. And I've got to say, Gregory's looked completely assertive between the sticks. And we just hope we can hang on for a point. It's gone to penalties. We've guaranteed 1 point. But we'd quite like to make it 2. So we'll set our penalty takers and be back in a second for the shootout. Right, the penalties are starting. We're going first. It's Ben Kennedy, one of the most experienced men in the team, and he slides it in the bottom corner brilliantly. It's not often we've got to commentate on a penalty shootout on this channel, so I'll very much enjoy it. Usman with a shot for Fulham, and it's into the same corner again. The keeper, Dave Gregory's not the best, so I'm not sure if he'll save many of these. We're still on the ABBA system by the looks of it, as they score again, and now the pressure's on us to make sure we don't miss one. Mark McKee, the backup central midfielder, the captain at the end of this game, can he score? He steps up, and what a penalty that is. Smashes it in, and we're very happy with the standard so far, as Luke Berry, the experienced pro, steps up. Please don't ruin it for me, Luke. He shoots, he scores, what a goal, and the Luton boy will never let us down. What a goal from him, and now it's pressure back onto Fulham's youngsters. As Dave Gregory waves his arms, does he make himself a hero? Of course he doesn't. Head in his hands because he didn't get anywhere near it, despite the relatively poor penalty. It's Fulham again, will he save one? Oh, he only does. Dave Gregory, you've made me lose my voice, what a man. And can Thomas take advantage? A lot of pressure on the 17-year-old, steps up, slides it in the corner, and now we've got a chance to win it. It's sudden death for the next two, despite only being the 5th penalty. This penalty might be able to win us it from Keston Davis, but the centre-half stepping up as we've run out of decent takers. His rating's about 5 or 6, and fingers crossed he can do it, he does. That's the experience showing there, and we've managed to get 2 points out of the game by scoring all 5 penalties, despite an array of poor takers. A wonderful performance. We deserve to win it in 90, but winning it on penalties is almost as good. My voice has just about held up, and David Gregory made the crucial save. What a hero he's becoming, despite the complaints from myself and the fans. Let's go and talk to the lads. Paul Jewell's telling us to say it's disappointing. I'm saying it's a good win, well done. They're happy with that. Let's keep the morale high. A decent result and a good start to the competition. I don't know who the other side in the group is. Let's see if we can find them. The other two teams are AFC Wimbledon and Exeter. It was 3-2 to Wimbledon, so that's going to be a tough tie for us. But a wonderful performance, and we did really well there against the talented young team. A few more thousand in the bank, which is essential, and it keeps raising our stock as we look to move on eventually to bigger and better things. But a decent start at Stevenage, considering how negative we all were after the last episode, and I was fully expecting that to continue, but luckily we've had a little turnaround, probably sparked by that dressing room revolt. So fair play to Ben Kennedy, and fair play to the youngsters that made their debut today. But that will be all for this episode. A massive thank you for watching as always. If you did enjoy it, please put a thumbs up on the video. Let's have a quick look at when we'll next be back. I quite like the look of Portsmouth at the end of September, although we have no idea what's going to happen on the job front beforehand. But if nothing happens in the meantime, that's likely when we'll be back. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories, as well as weekly videos from FIFA 19. And a big thanks for watching as always again, and putting up with this Sean Dyche-esque voice, and I'll see you next time, hopefully for a slightly less croaky outing.